Okay, on to round 3, still hunting for that elusive win. And here we'll be playing against Plutarch85, who is playing ETF. This does not look like it's going to be a good matchup for this deck, I wouldn't imagine. But we will give it the old college try. So we're going to keep this. Again, it's got a 4-cost interface that we can jam. Then we can jam our cache, and then we can run. Okay, he's going for the old try and score first turn, maybe. So we'll contest that. We'll drop our cache. We'll drop our self mod. He's going to res. We're going to self mod for the Rex. And then we will Nasir for the money. And then we can match strength and breakthrough. And it's a Vitruvius, so that worked out pretty well. Went for a cheeky first turn thing, and we nailed it. The power of self-modifying code. It's an Eli on the top. Like, we're a bit short on money now, but we're Nasir, we're always short on money. So really what we'll do, and again, I could have dropped the Aesops there to get back up to 3, but we could just put that down this turn, especially if he wants to stop me from seeing stuff. So, like, here is where we can see. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I should have played the Aesops first and then run on 0 credits, because that would have just been a bit more efficient. He's got a Resident Architect. I thought it was going to be the Eli. Running into this at this point is not the end of the world. Like, every time Architect fires, it feels like you're instantly behind. But in reality, this early on, where we're both in this kind of setup mode, is probably the best time to hit it, especially with 3 clicks left. So it's not like he's going to be able to install one of the agendas he sees off the top and then just advance it out next turn. That's probably just an Adonis or an Eve or something similar. And then he installs from HQ to defend it, so maybe it's not. Maybe he did find an agenda and something to protect it. There's an Eve on top. So we jam the HQI, and I guess we go check here. There's the Eli, so we gain some more money back. And then we'll go vet his hand. It's an Eve and an Assassin. Bad news. And also he's on 2 credits now, having resed the Eli, so he can't score that out if it is an agenda. So that could be Breaker Bay, something like that. So anyway, what we want to do ideally here is, like, get our credit situation down to 0. Yeah, so I've just figured that out now. Yeah, I should play that as well. Come on, me. Play the film critic. Oh no, I drew. Really, I mean, a lot of this was me learning this deck as I went along, and essentially trying to get to 0 was what I was aiming for. So it was an agenda. I should have gone back in and got it, and I didn't, and that was a huge misplay on my part. I'm not sure why I didn't choose to go after it. I mean, I think the reality is that that's an Ash in there, but that's just made my life a bit harder, as well as giving him 2 free points. So here I'm going to install a film critic. I'm going to run at HQ again. All I'm trying to do is prompt a res. Fast track hedge fund. Okay. So really now I should be going into setup mode. Like I should be drawing into my stuff to try and get set up before he can. I need my R&D interfaces, I need my Cujo to get through his architect, and I need to start hammering that R&D before he can draw into his food coat pieces to lock me out of that scoring remote. So he's just drawing through with Jackson. Like so he's in a setup mode as well. There's very little value to me going and pressuring that Jackson. I can just run at his archives at some point to get him to pop it. So, yeah, sell the cache. What am I thinking about doing here? This was quite late on night on Sunday as well, so possibly not playing at my best here. Where am I thinking of run? Okay, so still just trying to force this res. Eve and Assassin, yeah. Like if that... Well, he's on 3 credits, so the fact that he can't res it should have given that away. Okay, the classic draw into diesel into triple R&D interface. And yeah, at this point I'm thinking he's probably cycled through enough so that I can make him pop his Jackson, but it turns out he's struggling to find his agendas as well. There's Cyberdex and some operations in there, and that's it. So yeah, so what I really need here is a Cujo so that I can start going into his R&D fairly aggressively. The itchy, not really a big deal. I mean, we can just click through the trashes, eat the trace, and lady the Eli. There is an install there though, so that does feel like... I don't know, he knows that I can do that, so the question is he baiting me with something like a Breaker Bay, or the Eve campaign which we know is in his hand, or is he trying to sneak out a... another 3 for 2. So here we decide to just let it be. I'm drawing up to try and find my my Cujo here. What I don't really want to do is play out these R&D interfaces and get him to reinforce his R&D. Though discarding one just reveals that I've got a bunch in my hand. Yeah, so he's fully fortifying his scoring remote. We really need a way into that R&D now. That's an agenda that we can contest, and in fact it's probably worth doing, but if that's an assassin then it's big trouble for us. Running into an assassin without a way of fetching out our dog breaker is just going to end up with something else that we need trashed. So still drawing, trying to find, there's the SMC, but probably a turn too late, as I suspect this is going to be another score out here. Oh no, it's not. So he draws 2, so it was the Eve or something equally not as valuable as Vitruvius. Oh no, actually, is it a global food? can I go and challenge that on 0 credits? Can I go fetch that global food? So we can click through. We don't have enough credits to get in there, realistically. So we day job and give this up. I looked at it, and even if we'd gone in, clicked through, we didn't have the credits to match the strength of the Eli. So now we're in a tough spot because any 3-2 agenda wins him the game. And we've got no protection for biotic, so we really need to lock up his R&D instead. So what I'm thinking about here is a end of his turn fetch the Cujo, but I decide against it because really what I want to do is do that in a turn where I can go fetch Cujo, install double R&D interface run. Again, I'm trying to ensure that I've just got the one ice to get through. But now, with him installing in server 2, I'm in an awkward situation as well, because I need to contest that remote, but I'm going to lose all my credits if I run at that unresed ice. So what do we do here? What is the correct play? Yeah, so there's the double ice, meaning that it's going to be almost impossible for me to get in, because double unresed ice means I can't ever have a reliable credit pool. So I'm going to go fetch my dog here. So my only hope has to be that that wasn't an agenda that he found. I can't contest that remote at all. So I should kind of stick to the plan and jam the 2 R&D interfaces, gain 2. No, even then that wouldn't work. Oh, I could gain 5 of the technical writer, then run in, yeah. So here I will, in hindsight, what I think I should do in this situation is go install R&D interface, take 4 off the technical writer as click 3, and then run at his R&D, because at this point, like, R&D locking him seems to be my only out, as long as that's not a 3 for 2 agenda. Yep. Plutarch acknowledging it's a difficult call. Nasir, man. So yeah, the frustration that I felt playing these games was because he puts you in situations where with every other runner that's not an issue. Like, it turns uninstalled ice for the corp into like an effectively like a ghetto version of a closed accounts or something similar. It can really mess with your credit pool, and when Netrunner is a game all about economy, there's very little that you can do as a runner to mitigate that if every time the corp reses ice, your credit pool becomes whatever the cost of that ice was. As you've seen, it really messes with you when people are trying to burn your house down, and it can also mess with you in situations like this. So yeah, so I'm thinking, I don't think there's any value to running at his HQ. I mean, the other line of play here might be install R&D interface, install R&D interface, run his HQ, hope for a res, and then use the money from that res to go into his R&D. So yeah. Oh, so I'm doing this kind of halfway there, but incorrectly. So that's install the R&D interface, run his HQ. So he does res, but for a net of 0. So if I drop to the second one, I could have done that. We get in, and we see Eve and Jackson Howard, and then to get past the architect, we're going to pop one of the technical writers. So my thinking here is that he's down to only 3 credits remaining. So if I run at server 2, then I can get through if I pop my technical writer, which is on 5, and if he reses to stop me getting in, then he won't have enough credits to advance and score that agenda, if that is an agenda. So this is what we're thinking here. Now his credits are low enough, we can pop that, and we can run server 2 here. If he reses anything, then we are then we're fine, because he can't score out. If he doesn't res, then we've got a shot at his agenda. So here we're going to match strength and break and continue and match strength and break, and here we're going to get blown out completely by Breaker Bay into Ash. So yeah, don't have enough credits to beat the Ash Trace or Trash Ash, and because of the Breaker Bay, it didn't cost him anything to res the Ash, so he can still protect and have enough to score that agenda, if that is an agenda. So it's a tough spot, but fortunately it's just an Adonis. Like, ultimately I think everything that I did there was correct up to a point, but yeah, it wasn't the 3-2. It was just an Adonis. So I'm still alive and in this game. So obviously now his response will be to not allow me free access to his R&D. So the question is whether last turn I should have realised that I wouldn't be able to get in there at all, and instead just gone for the straight up R&D lock. So I need some money, so I'm going to sell my Astrolabe, because really what I want to do is install that, then take the money off the technical writer. Again, sequence this badly, because I should have put that on the technical writer and then taken the money off after. It would just cost myself an extra credit, basically. But I get in, and I see an Archive Memories, another Assassin, and a team sponsorship, so not much there. And again, assuming that that server 3 install was just the Eve that I saw, rather than him really cunningly sneaking out the winning 3-2. I can still put on some pressure here. He's obviously going to be able to, yep, do that. There's a cybernetics court. So my HQ interface a little less good, and obviously his IQ's now strength 8, which is pretty good. So all of the cards that I saw are now off the top of his deck. He drew one for his mandatory draw and then double drew with Jackson. So I should, in theory, just try and go straight back in to his R&D. I've got no credits. So here's what I'm thinking, which is that I run. If he reses here, I've got credits. If he doesn't res here, I can use the cache credits to pump and get through the architect. And if it's an assassin, then I will at least have the creds from the Nasir ability to match the strength and break it with the dog, which it is. So I gain 7, I match 5, break 2. Now at this point I consider whether to continue and just let the architect fire. It's a tough one. Essentially, the only way that I score is there'd have to be 2 agendas in the top 3, and then he'd install one out of the way, probably over his Adonis, and then I'd score the other one. So letting it fire seems like a desperation call. I think choosing not to is the correct choice here, and yeah, that's what I do. So 3 clicks left. We're certainly not in trouble in terms of being able to get our dogs up and running. Right, so yeah, so just took some money off the Armitage there. Trying to set up for another run at this R&D. If he doesn't install... So here's the issue with Nasir. If he installs another face down ice in front of R&D, we are again in a position where we cannot know how many credits we're going to need to get in. Right now, we can. And there goes the install in server 2. So he's found the agenda that he needs. So with that double face down ice, we can't reasonably get in and beat that ash trace. We just can't. Because if we run and we've got enough to beat the ash trace or trash the ash, he's just going to res ice in front of us to knock our credit pool down. So instead, we've taken the money off cash, we've sold up, we're going to scavenge our Cujo back, and we're going to see whether we can win this off R&D. An Adonis, a Media Blitz, and a Jackson Howard. So, no, we can't. I'm going to run archives. So there's still nothing in there. Apart from double Cyberdecks. And so now with 1 click and 4 credits, the question is, do I run... Oh no, I don't. I just end the turn. And yeah, that's game. Yeah, a difficult situation there. It's... Ash and Breaker Bay is tough for good decks. Against Nasir, it's almost impossible to have that kind of money available. So yes, 3 games, no wins. See whether we can find a win in game 4.